All right, so guess what my talk is about?
Of course. For everyone, I think Angel's Nomsta app was a taco. What code for taco was a taco finding place.
Yep,
But
it
anyway,
was.
dive in,
It
dive
was.
in.
So I will code for tacos. That's just my motto in life now. And I had, like Ken said, I had very little time to put this together. So I apologize in advance. But here's another picture of tacos. Let's talk about how awesome, and I crossed out the I am, you are, because Firehose people have been getting really awesome lately. And let's see, I'm buying some time here because I got to fill in 7 minutes. So taco night, and I got to fill in a little bit more time. And everyone thinks I love tacos just because I'm Mexican, and I do. So just that's sharing a little bit about me and my life and my daily routine. But we could talk about some code now. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Ruby and just kind of the things that we can do in Ruby. So, whoops, let me go back. All right. So if we go and we do a 1+1, and I hope you can still see my screen, and we do that in our terminal, what do you think we would get? And, feel free to participate, anyone. So 1+1 equals
2.
2. What? And this is where I insert my, what the hell happened there? So let's do a 1 plus 2. Let's try another one. 1 plus 3. And here's the cool thing, and why I messed up my addition in my Ruby. It's that when you start getting to know how Ruby works a little bit under the hood, then it just kind of opens your mind up to the fact that you can do so many things in Ruby, and it helps improve what you think is possible. So let me go back to this. So 1+1, we saw that it didn't give us 2. So how did we even get to that? What happened there? So we can start by figuring out what the class is. So if you open up your terminal and you just do like a 1.class, you'll see that it belongs to the fixed num class. And that kind of gives you a clue of what you can start doing. So for example, in this case, why was my 1+1 not working? Well, because I did some monkey patching. So I did this little thing. I edited my fixed num right in the terminal, and I redefined what the plus method was. And it takes in a say what variable, and then I'm pretty much just multiplying it. So all of a sudden, I ended up redefining what my plus is in Ruby, and therefore, going back to this, that's why my 1+1 is acting kind of crazy, because I gave it new instructions. I gave Ruby new instructions. So how can we figure out how Ruby is doing and what methods are available, what we can do with them? Well, let's take, whoops, wrong window. Let's take another example. Let me go over here, back to this one. Array. So if we have an array, if we just initialize a simple array, 4 numbers in there, and right in our terminal, and our terminal is awesome to learn about Ruby, and you just do an array.methods, you're going to notice something. And you'll notice that those brackets are a method. So what does that mean? That, let's see it in the terminal again. I like the terminal. So let me see if I have my array here already. Whoops, I don't yet. Okay, so we know that if I wanted to pull out the number in the index of 1, we would do something like that, right? But understanding that when I saw my array.methods and the brackets and self-var method, then that kind of opens my eyes that there's more than one way to doing things. So how do we call a method in Ruby? We just do an array, and then we do a dot, and we can call a method, and we can pass a value to it. And that works. That's the same as doing that. So then we can think about when we did our 1+1, what would be another way of writing this? So then if the plus is a method that I ended up rewriting, we know that 1, we call our method, and then we pass it an argument, and that should work. Pretty cool. So we probably wouldn't want to be, and not probably, you don't want to be rewriting class methods in Ruby. You don't want to be rewriting your Ruby class, your array class, or anything like that. But it does kind of open your eyes out to the fact that if you know that about Ruby, when you're working in an app or when you're using a gem and something isn't just quite what you need it to do, or you're trying to figure out why it's doing it one way, it gives you clues on how can you start investigating a little bit further. So you can always use that class method on whatever you're calling, and it'll tell you what the class of that is. You can also use the methods in IRB or pry. If you use pry, it's an awesome tool for doing things. And it teaches you a little bit more about what you want to do. All that's important. I mean, it's cool to learn more about Ruby. It's awesome that, for example, we're working through algorithms and all that. But I think the most important method is adding the human touch to any code you do. So let's try that out. Let's go ahead and do this. So let's take our 1, and what happens if we add humans to it? Almost as awesome as tacos now. So, is it a fake one? No, it's still our fixnum class. So if we've been following along, we kind of get an idea of how that is working. Why does one all of a sudden in the fixnum class have a way to add humans to it? Well, there you go. I was just kind of played with it a little bit before that. So right in the fixnum class, I added a method called add humans, and that's what it returns. So what does that mean? That Ruby is such a beautiful language because it's so open, but it's also a dangerous language because it lets you mess up a lot of things. So use it only for good. But it does let you explore, and that's the cool thing, that especially when you're learning Ruby, when you're learning to code, one of the most fun things and also one of the most valuable things you can do is just play with Ruby itself. A lot of times when I do a coding night online through Code Newbie, and we'll do exactly what I did right now. We'll just go ahead and open up the terminal and we'll ask a question, and someone will ask, well, what happens if we did that? And I just say, well, type it in the terminal, see what it does. So let's say we wanted to add the fixnum class again, and we just wanted to redefine plus to do nothing. Now we know it won't let me. A worst case scenario, let's say you mess something up, this is how you fix it. Boom, you're back to a fresh start. Now if I try my add humans, unfortunately, it's gone. But I didn't mess up Ruby, I didn't kill it. So that kind of is a little thing. Now, why do I bring the humans part out of that? Let me go back to my presentation here. Because, and we can insert some kind of sappy song here. We are the champions is the first thing that came to my mind. But you, the human, is what makes code awesome. Code, at least right now, does not really code itself very well. You know more code than 95% of the humans out there. That's a totally made up stat that I made right now just because I was in a rush. So through code, focus on telling the story of the human, which is you. Sprinkle some code in there. Know what your strengths are and share them. For example, my strength is not in algorithms. I am totally in awe of the first talk, and that's why I was feeling so bad about this talk and the level of complexity. But I know that's not my strength. My strength is, in sharing tacos and, talking to other people and hanging out with people online and share that, be visible. I do a lot of that through locally, through meetups and things like that, and also online. And through that come opportunities, and people will start noticing what you do, and people that feel the same way you do about whatever you're passionate about will start noticing. And that's very important when you're getting started because you probably don't have the experience to back up a lot of these things. So a lot of it will be in what you're sharing, whether it's online, whether it's in blog posts, whether it's in the community, little exercises like the one I did right now. If you put it online in a blog post just to kind of explain how things are working, it's perfect. It's something that other people get benefit from. Have fun and eat more tacos. And that is my presentation.
Amazing presentation, Angel. So, big question, where do you suggest people go to get tacos? What's your favorite taco joint?
You built an app for it already, right?
I built an app for it. People got to start contributing to that, man. Depends on where you are, but wherever you are, I promise you I will find delicious tacos. So,
I think we should all take a Firehose road trip to LA.
Boom, done. Actually, if you do, I promise I'll take you to eat tacos somewhere good.
Perfect. I'll probably be out there this summer. So.
Nice.
Everyone's hungry now.
I know. Sorry about that. I'm hungry. That's why I was thinking of those.
Amazing
Awesome.
talking, Joel. One thing I might point out is while Ruby is awesome at the ability to do this like defining methods on other classes, it also can make it a little bit challenging to know where stuff is coming from. Things like sometimes you can call dot blank question mark, and sometimes you can't, depending on if you're in Rails or not. And the fact of the matter is that it's sort of this monkey patched stuff that sort of makes it difficult. But it also makes your life really easy. So there's sort of trade-offs with all of that stuff, but it's really a fascinating topic and a fascinating trick that you kind of showed us.
Yeah, and mainly it's just so, not that I would be monkey patching things left and right. Mainly it's something that's helped out and just not being so afraid of Ruby. Like when you see, oh, that's why it works that way, then it kind of removes that barrier of magic, which is good, but then it kind of opens up your eyes that you can do so much if you just learn a little bit of how it works under the hood.
Absolutely. Does anybody have any
So
questions?
Yeah, so I have a question. We actually do a lot of monkey patching, but we call it extensions in Swift. So like on the projects that I'm on, we'll add an extension to the font. So UI font, and then you add whatever you want to that class, and then you can use that as your preferred font or default font or whatever. So have you seen that this is helpful in any applications in Ruby?
Yeah, definitely. I think you just, you don't call it monkey patching. I mean, when you're monkey patching something, but I get the concept that you're talking about, kind of like when maybe you have a module and then you're bringing that module and you're including it or extending it into a class. And now you have the methods of that module available to you. So it's the same kind of concept. It's just, you're probably not going to ever be editing the actual Ruby methods. You're working, I'm thinking maybe like, you have a certain module that you don't need all the time, and all of a sudden you're writing a class that requires it, then you want some of those methods. Like we have some modules around formatting phone numbers and formatting different messages that we have. So we don't want that all over the place, but when we need it, we just bring that module in and we're good to go.
Right. And that was an awesome talk. The tacos and everything, just to clear that up.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff. Anybody else? Any other questions or comments for Angel?
Your stat's probably pretty close too, by the way.
What was that?
Your stat, you're only 5% of people know how to code. It's roughly 350 million people, so I think it's pretty close.
Oh, thanks for fact checking for me.
Yeah.
I totally
I had to do the numbers. I was curious.